Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Political Living Room. I am Karen. This is my living room, and we're going to have a little political chat. Drink 'em if you got 'em. And here we go. Let's just take a look at this headline now. You may have seen the short in which I discussed this, so we're just going to recap real quick here. NYPD overtime to be cut to help pay for migrant crisis, even as crime remains higher than before COVID. So we have a crisis cascade. We have the border crisis, and then it was opened by Joe Biden. And so then we had the migrant crisis in New York City. The migrant crisis has metastasized into a New York City budget crisis. And now we will have a policing crisis, which will lead to, I'm sure, a public safety crisis. And I'm sure that there is a public health crisis waiting for us somewhere in this large bag of garbage that we are all forced to open and sort through. But we haven't heard about that yet. So let's just take a look at the New York Post article. Here we go. It states, overtime for NYPD cops will be cut to help pay for the city's migrant crisis, even as police battle to rein in crime that is still higher than before the pandemic. And of course, it's going to be higher than before the pandemic, because before the pandemic, we didn't have an entire town's worth of people, over 100,000, in here to be looked after. But now we do. And some of them are actually one-person crime waves. We'll talk about that later in the video. It goes on to say, Mayor Eric Adams' budget director, Jacques Gihat, has told the city's 4 uniformed agencies, police, fire, sanitation, and corrections, to come up with plans to slash their OT costs. Okay, they're also going to have to come up with a plan for how to recruit, because the veterans are not going to stay. They're not going to stay to do extra work for less money. Those who can be bought out, those who it's not going to impact their pensions, they're going bye-bye. Bye-bye. Ain't going to do it. No. And that will leave people who don't know how to do the job as well. And it will also make all of these jobs harder. And without the veterans, with a reduced with reduced personnel, there's going to be definite impacts on the cleanliness of the city, which already isn't great. Let's be honest. It's already not fabulous if they're going to cut sanitation, fire, and police. So there's your public safety crisis right there. The uniformed agencies must submit monthly reports to City Hall to track overtime spending and their progress in meeting their reduction target. I wonder if these agencies are going to implement disincentives for early retirement. I wonder if they're all of a sudden going to yank people's pensions if they try to retire early to save themselves from this nonsense. Just a speculation. The order comes as Adam has warned that the recent flood of tens of thousands of asylum seekers into the Big Apple will destroy it, including by crippling it financially. Yeah, well, of course it will. But what did he think when he said, oh, just send them up here? We're a sanctuary city. We're great. We're woke. We'll take all of these people. I can't help but wonder if it is his kind of backhanded way of defunding the police. Adams is a Democrat. A lot of Adams' constituents are wokey dopes who really think it is a great idea to defund the police. And so, life can be nicer for criminals. And they can just run around and commit crimes, and they don't have to go to jail. Or if they do go to jail, it's just for a couple hours, then they can come right back out and commit crimes again. It's also a wonderful way to demoralize police who arrest these people, but they know that the DA is going to let them right out in a couple hours. So again, that demoralizes the veterans who can't teach the younger ones now how to do the job. So they're going to leave. And then you cut their overtime, and there you go. You've got your defunded police. And you also get woke points for letting the migrants in here in the first place and degrade everybody's quality of life. Okay, let's take a look at the article. It says Patrick Hendry, head of the city's largest police union, the Police Benevolent Association, on Sunday, blasted the notion of cutting even overtime costs for its members. It's going to be impossible for the NYPD to significantly reduce overtime unless it fixes its staffing crisis. We are still thousands of cops short, of course, because who wants to do this job? You do this very difficult job for which you get less and less respect. And you have your hands tied by the mayor. Have you noticed lately that if the cops are standing there and they see somebody jump the turnstile, they don't do anything? Yeah, how about that? So the mayor is actually preventing the cops from doing their job of policing and maintaining public order. Okay, so of course, people aren't going to want to do it because what's the point, right? Okay. So Hendry goes on to say, we're struggling to drive crime back to pre-2020 levels without adequate personnel. And remember, pre-2020, we didn't have these extra 100,000 people in here. He goes on to say, if City Hall wants to save money without jeopardizing public safety, it needs to invest in keeping experienced cops on the job. They do not care about that. Okay. A political strategist added that Adams, who will seek re-election in 2025, is taking a big gamble by messing with manpower of the NYPD. Well, yeah, that is, it depends on who he's trying to appeal to. If he's trying to appeal to the defund the police idiots, they're going to love it. If he's trying to appeal to rank and file New Yorkers who actually have to go out there and deal with reduced public safety every day, they're not going to vote for him. And he's also telling the cops not to vote for him. Who's going to vote for somebody who undermines the quality of your job? Nobody. All right, let's just take a look at some of these individuals who have recently come to the city and have managed to cut quite a figure. Check this out. 6 NYC migrant shelter residents arrested as cops confiscate scooters. So, no overtime for these guys. To hell with it. Now you've got more incidents to deal with, but overtime, schmovertime. Come on. It's us. Let's keep going. Okay, migrant arrested 6 times for 14 crimes in the first 2 months in New York City. As I said, one-man crime wave. There we go. Next one. Migrant woman arrested after slapping NYPD cop trying to confiscate her unregistered motorbike outside New York City shelter. So we're talking about cops knowing that there is a rising tide of lawlessness, not having that much power to deal with it because the DAs let these people right back out, and then their overtime's going to get cut. What do you think's going to happen? They're going to quit. This is all going to get worse. Now, the United States, or the New York City, I should say, lunacy has made international headlines, where in the Daily Mail, which is a UK publication, this kind of cracks me up. UK publication with a Labor Day sale in it. But it says, NYPD to cut overtime as Big Apple feels budget pinch of migrant crisis, with city departments being told to slash budgets to fund shelters. Isn't that the damnedest thing? And then remember, who's in those shelters now? Is it American citizens? No, it is people who have come across the border and may stay here, they may not stay here. Who knows? But we got to pay for them. American homeless people? Who cares? Who cares? It's not how you get votes. You get votes by defunding the police, and you get votes by undermining public safety, and also by letting the migrants come in. That's going to get you votes with the wokey dopes. Okay, let's go a little further and see what the Brits are saying about us. The mayor will issue a directive to implement overtime reduction initiative for the city's 4 uniformed agencies. The move is part of a citywide budget reduction to help find money to pay for the swell of migrants. The situation might even lead city shelters to force migrant women and children to live in tents because of overcrowded facilities. I didn't know about that. You know, one way to solve this problem is to just tell them, you don't come here. Do not come here. And to petition our president to close the border. Or just send them someplace else. Can't deal with it. It's not going to work. Destroying the city. We don't have the cops. We don't have the facilities to put these people up. They can't come here anymore. It's too much money putting these people up in 4-star hotels. Why? So they can raise hell on the streets of New York City. It is utterly, utterly ridiculous. Okay, no layoffs are being proposed as the city attempts to keep budgets in check, according to the New York Post. No, they're not going to need to do any layoffs because people are going to quit. There's no reason to lay people off because you're going to run them out of the job. There you go. There will, however, be a hiring freeze, save for departments like public safety and public health. There is also apparently a reduction in overtime. Yes, indeed. Okay. The memo comes days after Mayor Adams went on a highly publicized rant, tearing into the migrant crisis crippling the Big Apple, which he warned will destroy the city without urgent action. Of course it will. Of course it will. But the wokey dopes love that crap. They love the idea of public safety being undermined to assist what we called back in the 70s, the underprivileged. I will have to do a whole video about the kind of racism and classism that drives the belief that you can defund the police in whichever way, that you can defund the police, and that actually helps poor people and Black people and Hispanic people, who are the ones who are most likely to live in the neighborhoods that are beset by crime. Just real quick, what it implies is that Black or Hispanic equals criminal. So, if you defund the police and who are not there to maintain public order and to arrest criminals, then you are keeping Black people out of jail. That only works if you believe that all or most Black people are criminals. And I can tell you, we're not. So that defund the police BS can go. Alrighty, I'm going to leave that here. I will see you in the next video. Until then, remember, please like, subscribe, comment, share, and I will see you in the next installment of The Political Living Room. Until then, have a great night. Bye-bye.